Test, test. All right, now we've got audio. I was just saying, performing an analysis on something as it's just been rolled out is quite hard to do. For example, I said, imagine trying to analyze how Pulse Chain launch went, or how to analyze how Hex on Pulse Chain is going to perform. On day one of launch, do you think an analysis would be ready? I don't think there would be one, because it's almost impossible to do. Now, the topics I'm going to cover are a bit controversial. You may not care for them at all. I personally do, and I'm going to exercise my political free speech and try and make a stream about it. Hopefully, it's somewhat entertaining. Hopefully, it's not too dark and grim. I don't mean for the demeanor to be too dark and grim, but it's very frustrating without yelling at the stream what I think is actually happening. So I thought I'll try and just sort of dial it back just a little bit and present some things that I'm noticing for purely, I guess you could say, entertainment purposes, but I would more I would closely refer to them as basically information and data points, which you can refer to if you happen to catch this. If not, that's cool. So where to begin? We have here truth and consequences. So I thought I would bring this to attention to all the Hexkins, if anyone cares, and everyone worldwide. Now, this newsletter here, even if NBC, CBS, CNN, and the New York Times, the WashPro, and the rest of the big news media mafia ignore the Twitter file story, the revolution at Twitter is going to shake their windows and rattle their walls. There will be free debate in 2023 on this social media platform. Maybe, just maybe, this was the new social media platform that was discussed in SPARS. I haven't finished reading that one yet. I will cover that and get to that eventually. How it all rolls out and how that particular research, data, paper, report, whatever you want to call it, explains how it ends, or how it might end, or how it ends in that hypothetical. Now, we have here, news and ideas will be let loose across the landscape, and for the first time in years, reality will have a chance to compete with the bad faith narratives of a regime at war against its own people. I might read this word for word again. All credit goes out to this individual, Mr. Constellar. We have to see how long this window remains open for the Intel community before the Intel community tries to shut Twitter down, ramp up a campaign to defame it, or blow it up as a viable business, or make a move to, shall we say, neutralize the person behind the revolution there. The more that free speech is usually permitted on Twitter, the more every other platform will look like a lame organ of propaganda, especially when it comes to issues that really matter, such as the deadly consequences of the mRNA vaccines, a topic I'll cover shortly. The shady doings around recent US elections, the actual condition of the US economy, the perilous folly of Joe Biden's war in Ukraine, and the family grifting operation that prompted it, and the evil machinations of the Intel community itself. Now, I'll go on to read the rest. In about 1 week, the party of chaos will be swept out of power in the US House of Representatives. Their opponents will take control of all the House committee chairs with the subpoena power to compel the testimony of public figures who have managed to avoid answering questions for years. The big news media may not be able to avoid reporting on it, especially with Twitter loosened up, and their lying attempts to spin events are going to look pathetic when instantly contrasted with free analysis and informed debate in the public arena. Free speech for the win. You can't overstate what an advantage the insidious takeover of social media gave to forces seeking to wreck the country. Through the effects have barely been explored yet. The people remain bamboozled over the COVID-19 operation especially. The pandemic certainly wasn't some random act by Mother Nature. not with US public health agencies supporting gain-of-function research on coronaviruses from Ukraine to North Carolina to Wuhan, China, and subsequent damage caused by the government's response to the outbreak was either an epic fiasco of inept officialdom or something that smells like mass murder. Oof, big words. Big words. Dr. Anthony Fauci's little trick so far to avoid answering questions about these matters was simply not to use the term gain-of-function in his correspondence arranging grants for it, especially after President Barack Obama's banned that type of research by its name in 2014. So when asked about gain-of-function, he could just lie with abandon. After that simple ruse is exposed, the patent and royalty benefits enjoyed by Dr. Fauci, who doubled his net worth after 2019, will be dragged into the light of day. It's doubtful that Merrick Garland's uber-corrupt DOJ will follow up on any referral for criminal prosecution issued by a House committee, but guess what? There are 50 states' attorney generals who have to stand to prosecute Dr. Fauci over injuries to their state citizens. It appears that Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida, for one, has identified that legal avenue and this week asked Florida's top court to convene a special grand jury to consider exactly that. The other players in Team COVID have plenty to answer for. 2. Rochelle Walensky's CDC has deliberately concealed, misled, obfuscated, or opted to not even collect information about injuries and deaths from COVID vaccines. The agency did nothing to update the inadequate, difficult to use VAERS reporting system or even communicate the very bad news that managed to land on it. The CDC is still aggressively pushing vaccines on children, knowing full well that it damages young hearts, brains, immune systems, and probably the kids' very DNA. I'll get to that later. Probably few would recognize the name Dr. Robert Califf. In his second go-round as commissioner of the FDA, served 1 year, 2016-2017, under Obama, confirmed again in February 2022. Dr. Califf has been a tool of the pharma companies for decades. Earlier in his career, as a professor at Duke University, he specialized in organizing drug trials. His operation there was supported by over $150 million in grants from pharma. Even despite deep state control of the social media prior to Elon Musk's cleanup of Twitter, a lot was already known about the botched, and fake drug trials that led to FDA's conditional emergency approval of Pfizer and Moderna's mRNA COVID-19 products, along with the official suppression of existing antiviral drugs that could have saved 1 million lives, which was done strictly to preserve the liability shields of the vaccines. A finding of fraud in all this would violate the pharma company's protection against lawsuits, and there was fraud galore in the whole wicked business. Others have to be called to face new music in Congress. Self-styled humanitarian Bill Gates, whose fingerprints are all over the COVID-19 story, from the pandemic war era game event 201 he sponsored, held in the fall of 2019, to his vested interest in pharma, to his connections with the shadowy operations of the World Economic Forum, and his stated population reduction innovative. Dr. Ralph Baric of the University of North Carolina, indisputably the preeminent expert on coronavirus gain-of-function research and knee-deep in the COVID-19 episode, who was magically able to hide under the rock the past 3 years, could shed a lot of light in public testimony on what happened. And Peter Daszak, head of the CIA Cutout.org EcoHealth Alliance, which helped enable the move of gain-of-function research to the Wuhan lab, explicitly explained years ago in a notorious recording from a symposium how to create profit opportunities from a pandemic response. There are countless high officials of the deputy director and commissioner rank underneath the public who could be called to testify about their agency's contribution to the catastrophe that the COVID-19 response turned out to be. Almost all of them have been laying low since the whole thing started. Meantime, Mr. Musk has announced that Twitter is preparing the release of all its archives containing communication with federal agencies that sought to control and suppress truthful discussion of the pandemic 2020 to 2022. He added snarkily that his personal pronouns are prosecute Fauci, in case there are any misunderstanding about what he's learned from the files. What is liable to come out of this unlocking of evil spirits in 2023 is a grotesque spewage of info about official corruption and misconduct that will make the projectile vomiting from from The Exorcist look like a mere satanic loogie in comparison. You have to wonder how the nation will handle it, especially among the extremely uncomfortable fact that Joe Biden still occupies the White House. Now, I'm always tempted to close out here, but I will not. I will continue on. Because this is not a one-sided, this is open for discussion. You feel free to put comments in below if you disagree, agree, whatever. But then we see articles here. Now, I posted a tweet on the now open, more open Twitter platform. I just wanted to wait. This is what I wanted to say. I just wanted to wait until there's more details about the science. I got called crazy, go figure. Now, what I meant by that was when these emergency, as I read before, treatments were rolled out, I wanted to know, was there long-term side effects? Was there any side effects? How safe were they? I got told, in summary, to shut the fuck up and take them. If you question them, you're a crazy conspiracy theorist. Now I'm even hearing talks of people who sound like what I just said. Maybe you should even randomly pick on them and imply that they have some sort of criminal intent. That's insanity. I don't think that's what's being said. The whole, if you dare to question science, then you should be deemed some person who's leaning towards criminal activities. But that is almost the way I interpret it as. This is from some top police right here in Australia, which I cannot believe. A free country like Australia has been watered down to some shape or form that resembles almost, ever so slightly, communism, socialism. That's insane. Now, again, I want to harp on this point. I don't think the police actually meant that. I think they meant to say, if you hear crazy loonbird people talking about crazy radical things, and you hear them planning or plotting something insane, maybe you should point that out to the relevant authorities. Don't disagree with that at all. But if you're saying, this accountant who sacrificed his job because he was in a position to do so, decided not to get a treatment because he felt he was being almost bullied into taking a jab against his informed consent, because that individual being me, questioned the science, because how are you to produce scientific literature if time hasn't passed? How is that even possible? I don't think that's the people who would be targeted under some sort of operation, targeting people who may disagree with the whole science behind some vaccine treatments. Now, again, I'm not an anti-vaxxer by any means. I'm pretty sure I've had all my vaccines as a child. I just questioned the new treatment that was being rolled out. I would like to have seen, ongoing scientific studies. Turns out now, 2 years later, 3 years later, maybe, there are vaccines. This is the analysis, right? So CupTube, before you cancel this channel, just hear the whole words in context. Otherwise, you'll be doomed to fail if Twitter ever releases a streaming service or video providing service or streaming service. Are vaccines, this is the analysis, are vaccines fueling a new variants of COVID-19? Amid a new Omicron variant, evidence suggests repeated jabs could be making people more vulnerable and powering the virus's evolution. Now, this sort of data could only be realized after, X amount of jabs had been given to people who provided their informed consent to agree to take the treatment. Now, this is what I wanted to wait for, because, maybe the science might suggest one thing or another. That's how science works. But for some reason, politics got involved and science was no longer a part of the question. It was merely, this is what you do, this is why you do it, because we are, for example, from a government agency. Now, that sounds kind of scary to me for someone who believes in, you know, freedoms, generally speaking, within the boundaries of the law. Now, moving on from that, you might want to listen to this for people that, again, controversial topics we have here. This is Andrew Tate, top G, a few months ago. What did he say? Let's have a listen.
It's the most common tactic in the world. First, they insult your character and attack you. It's stage one of the three stages. They attack you, your character, and cancel you. They put you in jail for something you did not do. And the last is they kill you. And I'll make it very clear here. I would never kill myself under any circumstances, ever, ever. And if I like to think that if anybody sees a media article where I've been locked up for whatever it is, they're gonna look at it and go, this is bullshit. Tate didn't do that. With the scrutiny I'm under, does anyone think I'm breaking the law? I'm the most scrutinized man on the planet. Like, if I was breaking laws, I'd be in jail. Trust me. I drive at the speed limit, my friend. That's the level it's got to. Like, they think I'm out here doing bad things. So when an article comes out saying Tate did this, I just pray there's enough people who are outside of the matrix to sit and go, this is some bullshit. And he doesn't deserve this, because I don't deserve it, because I will be innocent. It's the most...
That is what it is. Agree or disagree? That was Andrew Tate a few months ago, addressing the world. Moving on. Now, this may not be the best topic. Again, going back to the first newsletter I read from, my tweet. We have a former NBA player, John Stockton, claims he knows hundreds, if not thousands, of professional athletes who have died as a result of taking experimental COVID-19 injection. Taking the experimental COVID injection. Now, I'll put the link here. This is where it says it. Again, is this man a dangerous conspiracy theorist? You know, or is it the collective mind of people who have heard the same record play over and over again, which was the mainstream media, which was Twitter, which was arguably suppressing information about this whole thing? I guess we'll find out. Now, if you want, you can tweet about this now on Twitter, because you're free to. So, without any, you know, proof of this, what I thought I would show on this stream is then versus now. Back then, there was a, I guess, narrative, a talking point, simply pointing out, no, not to buy a Ford, but to fact check no evidence vaccination efforts are causing new COVID-19 variants. Because that was a video making the rounds of social media claiming that, you know, new variants of COVID-19 are forming. It goes on to explain, and I'll post the link. Now, that was clearly fact-checking at its finest. No evidence. No evidence. Now, to their defense, no evidence at the time, because maybe they hadn't had enough time, or hadn't had enough boosters, or didn't have enough data to understand what the science was actually doing. That is why informed citizens would ask the question, what is it we're doing? Why is it we're doing this? Does it make sense? What are the pros and what are the cons? Fast forwarding, all right? So fast forwarding about a year, give or take a year. Let's have a look. June 2021, 1.5 years later. What was the date of June? June 4th, almost 1.5 years later, almost. We have this. Now, are vaccines fueling new COVID variants? The virus appears to be evolving in ways that evade immunity. Now that I'm assuming the data, it's a big assumption, I'm assuming the data is being held accurately, they're actually beginning to question, are the vaccines fueling new COVID variants? It goes on to explain, public health experts are sounding the alarm about a new Omicron variant dubbed XBB that is rapidly spreading across the northeast US. Some studies suggest is as different from the original COVID strain from Wuhan as the 2003 SARS virus. Should Americans be worried? Now it goes on. It isn't clear. I'll read this part. It isn't clear that XBB is any more lethal than other variants, but its mutations enable it to evade antibodies from prior infection vaccines, as well as existing monoclonal antibody treatments. Growing evidence also suggests, so this is the interesting part, growing evidence also suggests that repeated vaccinations may make people more susceptible to XBB and could be fueling the virus's rapid evolution. Previously, we were told, previously articles were indicating that it's needed to be fact-checked, because when you fact-check things, it's almost like indicating that, well, what you're listening to might be crazy, might be conspiracy theory, even though there were many medical doctors in the field explaining why this may take place. But according to this article, it was social media videos that were fueling this, nonsense. Fast forward, conspiracy theories, right again, because it's not conspiracy theory when you're based on fact. Anyway, so that's a lot to, take into it. That's a lot to absorb. That would require hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of study research to be able to really understand how the whole argument was formed based on information that didn't exist at the time. And then the question is, why then would you be fact-checking this instead of saying fact-check, no evidence vaccination efforts are causing new COVID-19 variants? Why didn't they say, at this point in time, there's not enough information to indicate that ongoing vaccination and ongoing boosters would create contributing factors to new COVID-19 variants being produced? Because if they worded it like that, and they looked in the research that was being done at the time, they would find out that that was incorrect, because there was evidence, there was research being done, and research that would indicate that new variants could be, could be coming to an existence, because if people kept getting the ongoing boosters, then it mutates as... Now, I've probably butchered that because I'm not a scientist, so don't listen. This is not scientific advice. This is some crazy loon bird who happens to notice a trend. He's, applying his analytical skills on topics such as geopolitical treatments of the world. Like, maybe that's a topic. Now, the virus appears to be evolving in ways that evade immunity, is what I'm saying. And it's saying here, they've actually worded it in black and white. Growing evidence also suggests repeated vaccinations may make people more susceptible. Now, this was once made up conspiracy loon bird stuff, if they worded it the wrong way. But why didn't they word it? Why didn't they say, we didn't have enough evidence, and we don't think imagine if they worded it, they said, there's a chance that if we vaccinate people over and over again, that it might cause new variants. I don't think that's what the people wanted to hear at the time. Maybe they wanted to just keep everyone calm and relaxed and not worry about anything, I don't know. I honestly don't know. So let's move on to the next part. This was pretty interesting. The mind of the machine. Chilling AI predicts what nuclear war would look like with attacks on London, Moscow, and Washington. That's first thing I thought was, where's China? Or Beijing, or multiple countries in China, I'm not sure. It says here, it's pretty interesting stuff, It's like, artificial intelligence has offered a horrifying vision of what world faces in nuclear Armageddon and World War III. Now, just as I'm presenting this, we shall have a look what... We'll also share this to a pause here. There's a newsletter that you can subscribe to, right? And basically, it provides updates from Andrew Tate. Don't know who's running it, but it's uplifting, you know. It's not a negative thing at all. I think it's positive. Now, I'll read this out, and whether or not you think this is positive or negative, I'll let you decide. Now, I won't share screen, but what it says here: I was made for battle, a warrior of the light. There's been too much winning going on for the real world. My enemies hope to attack me with lies. God, I need to sneeze. When I do nothing but prove everything I've been saying all along. They needed to just shut me up. Tate isn't good for the Matrix. Tate is good for individualism. They do not want you to surround yourself with powerful men. They destroy the family unit. They ban any loud opposition. An idea cannot die. I'll be back online soon. I refuse to leave fellow men in the dark. Someone needs to show them the light. Who better than Tate? Tate. Alright, so hopefully that's him. Hopefully that's a message being relayed. Hopefully he's all well and safe. I, for one, as I said, I, for one, how do I word it? You just play this back, you know? Listen to what was predicted. I just hope he's not getting the Julian Assange treatment. I've heard from a news article reportedly that he's under pretty bad conditions being remaining in jail. I thought that was pretty good timing anyway. So I thought, why not read that out, you know? What do we got? What else we got? Now, this is the artificial intelligence, horrifying vision of what, you know. There's some pretty interesting, grim looking images, sorry. It's just fascinating how far AI has advanced to be able to do this. Whether or not there's any truth to it, who knows? I'm just fascinated at what data points they pull it from and how it comes to, you know, produce such stunning images, really. People will probably create NFTs of this shit. Flip them for some cash. There you go, there's an idea world. Run with it. Now, the next thing I want to cover is that concerns me is central bank digital currencies. Basically, you Google central bank digital currencies, a whole lot of stuff appears. I'm not sure what 2023 is going to bring, but I hope it's not some sort of adoption of a central bank digital currency against people's will. Here we go here. In this article here, sorry, I'm a bit tired. Words are a bit fuzzy at the moment, not quite in the zone. China's central bank digital currency wallet utilizes Alipay's red packets to boost adoption amid stiff competition. Oh, so the People Bank of China is looking for new ways to make digital yuan primary means of making payments in the country. So with the central bank digital currency, you have basically a wallet directly with the issuer. So in this case, it's the People's Bank of China. Now this is my understanding based on reading like a few sentences and putting some information together in my mind and presenting it. Whether or not it's accurate, you're gonna have to fact check me. But I'm pretty sure that's accurate based on my previous research. Now, according to the South China Morning Post, the latest trick in the PBOC playbook is borrowing a leaf from Alipay's red packet feature, which bears similarities to the centuries-old Chinese tradition. Traditionally, Chinese residents send red cash-filled envelopes to family friends with good wishes ahead of the year. Oh my god! Yes, it'll be like, here, you've received some central bank digital currency from the government. Do you want it? Yes, no. Who's saying no? An informed citizen might say no, but you know, to someone who thinks, oh, this is good, this is nice, who doesn't understand any, like, people who barely understand cryptocurrency, not your keys, not your coins, are the same people that are going to be receiving this thinking, no, there's nothing wrong with this. What harm can come from this? Quite possibly the same people that listen to the best efforts of everyone to try and inform us and keep us all safe, which happened to turn out to be possibly to our detriment because of the ongoing health issues that they're discovering. Again, please, this is not an anti-vaccination campaign here. This is simply stating that over time, we've gone from fact-checking whether or not COVID variants could emerge from vaccinations, from the treatment, from the mRNA treatment specifically, which was experimental, which was rolled out for emergency use. And as you read in the newsletter before, basically some treatments were, you know, where was it? Some treatments were actually, I better read it to the T. Actually, I won't pull it up. It might dox me too hard. So basically what it was saying, go check on the replay, but it's saying here, despite deep state control of social media prior to Elon Musk's cleanup of Twitter, there a lot was already known about the botched and fake drug trials that led to the FDA's conditional emergency approval of Pfizer and Moderna's mRNA COVID-19 products, along with the official suppression of anti-vax along with the official suppression of existing antiviral drugs that could have saved a million lives, which was done strictly to preserve the liability shields of the vaccines. Again, not an anti-vaxxer here, just explaining some things that I'm noticing, you know. And now we're being told, you know, oh, the new vaccines could be fueling new COVID variants, you know. What many scientists and researchers were saying early on, but they got silenced because of the political aspect, which is what I think took place against the whole theater that we witnessed from 2020 onwards up until now. Yeah, we got the AI, we got the central bank digital currency in China, we got what else? Yeah, we got China pushing a central digital bank CBDC usage by adding new features. Yay, more features. What have we got? This one here. Hey, Finbear, what is happening? Happy New Year's 2023. I'll go over some hex stuff later in a second. Half asleep here. Now my sinuses are playing up. This is that video. I'll put in the link. Basically disturbing details about phone tracking in 2022 and how there's many ways to track a phone. There's many ways to... He even suggested it in this article, not the guy running, not the ad. He was saying people are potentially being funneled into different categories depending on what they search online and what devices they search online. It's getting pretty spooky. You might want to check that out, maybe, I don't know. This article is interesting. Why, you know, buy hex or eat bugs is what I'm thinking. You know how Klaus Schwab's, yeah. Anyway, why it isn't mad to oppose the World Economic Forum. It's probably a good read if you want to. Again, you know, not like, oh my god, the world's gone absolutely insane. Like, that newsletter I'm reading is from like top analysts, and I don't understand why the stuff I'm reading from top analysts is sounding more and more like the conspiracy theorists, even though but lo and behold, the conspiracy theorists were running from facts. But no, everyone was told that the conspiracy theorist was crazy loon birds. It's just so convoluted. The waters have been muddied so hard, because then you have crazy people, actual crazy people like schizophrenics that believe in all sorts of insane shit being labeled as conspiracy theorists also. So it's very hard to differentiate between the two. Anyway, this one here, I'll read the first paragraph because it's got things like COVID-19 harvest children's blood. Satanic New World Order. Oh my god. The World Economic Forum and its long-serving founder, the executive chairman, Professor Klaus Schwab, are the subjects of many insane conspiracy theories. The NGO, which again this January will bring together politicians, business leaders, journalists, academics, and assorted celebrities in Davos, has been accused of, among other things, of being a secret cabal of pedophiles who use COVID-19 pandemic to harvest children's blood so they can hasten the Satanic New World Order. So it's very hard to explain to the mass that once they hear that, they probably can't get past that. And it's like, hang on, this is what they were saying a while ago, that no evidence of vaccination efforts vaccination will cause other variants. because that's what insane conspiracy theorists say. But it's like, hang on, there's no data just yet. It's only just come out, and then yeah, it's so complex. And now we're being told, oh, by the way, yeah, that might be happening. Anyway, I'll read on. It isn't mad, however, to regard the WEF as a dangerous force in global politics. The WEF is a dangerous force in global politics. To attack Joseph Heller just because you are paranoid doesn't mean the WEF isn't after you. A shared distrust of West brings together anti-capitalists on the left and culture warriors on the right. But the distrust is based on misunderstanding of what the WEF is these days really all about. I'll leave this for you to read in your own time. It's pretty interesting. No, I'm still here, man. What do we got? Did you get? No, I'm still up and running. Like, this is still YouTube. It's still coming through. Maybe they're realizing that if they start banning everything without listening to the entire context, people are just gonna jump ship and go to, like I said, the mythical Twitter. I can imagine Twitter having its own live stream platform. I could have Twitter having its own video platform as well, in competition with CuckTube, because yeah, Rumble I think is making some headwinds against the YouTube dominance, and we all saw what happened with YouTube's what they did during certain time frames, shall we say, which was clearly censorship. There's no other way to put it. Clearly a direct attack on people's free speech, you know. And some countries like the US have it written into their constitution the freedom of speech, and here in Australia we have political free speech, both of which were attacked because of you know, someone in YouTube who thought they were above those particular legal aspects. Anyway, not a lawyer, not legal advice, etc, etc. Oh, yeah. No, man, I could do that, but I'll cover my like theory on hex in a second as well. In terms of how can I say, basically like staking ladders, but then staking ladders 2.0 with dollar cost exiting. Anyway, some stuff I've been thinking about. Before I finish what I'm doing here, staying hydrated is linked to lower risk for disease. This is this is breaking news. Drink water, feel healthy, go figure. Faster aging and early death, study finds. Wow. Then we have here, Pfizer shots aren't safe whenever shown to be. Germans unleash spike protein bombshell. Oh. The mRNA spike protein wasn't the only thing autopsies found in people who died shortly after getting the jab. Combined with insurance datasets showing the increase in deaths had a 1 in a... Oh my god, what's that number? 390... Is that billion? 390 billion, 630 million, 286,180 chance of occurring spontaneously. This is a dagger through the heart for Pfizer and their crew. Anyway, moving on from that, we have here died suddenly. Do a search, and whether or not you believe that exists, who knows? John Stockton seems to think so. And we have here supply chain issues. Again, some people might think supply chains are all fixed. Some other people may disagree with that, so maybe we have a look to see what's happening. Now, I guess, hang on, I'll cover pHEX.com. Oh, where is it? pHEX.com. Always close the live stream. pHEX.com. Now, people might have seen the price is a bit low at the moment, although the end of the tax year is over and all that. So maybe, just maybe, people are harvesting losses. But we can see from the all-time high, it's not gone up and to the right. All that aside, I'm not the one selling. So I thought, I'm going to have to reassess how I'm going to attack this beast. Because, as we've covered before, everyone's covered before, basically, if everyone's staked, yield is lower, price will be higher. At the moment, not as many people are staked, yield is high, price is low, simply put. So I figured, ladders are set up. You can create these ladders however you want, whether that be quarterly, bi-yearly, half-yearly, sorry, or yearly, whatever, monthly, daily. Maybe not daily, unless you had a shit ton and wanted to spend a lot of ETH. And pulse chain though, daily would be probably an option, or on a network, a blockchain that is very, very efficient. Daily would be alright too. Now, assuming you know how to create wallets safely, store all your shit safely, and all that, you can then, I guess, the next thing you have to think about is how you're going to exit. What? You could sell it all, scrape the interest, or restake everything. Anywhere between those three. Now, in this current market, we're seeing prices going down. But if you're staked, you're generating more of the asset hex, which you can then burn and get more t-shirts if you understand that concept. Now, it's not for you, chat, because you're all over this. This is just me talking out loud. Now, if you create the staking ladder as your first layer, and then you'd say you want to exit, I've decided personally to not sell anything for the all of the year of 2023. Now, it might get painful because, for instance, say Pulse Chain launches announced, it actually takes place, maybe there's some huge pump. I am going to have to delay my gratification all through that and just watch it pump insanely. And I'll have to reassess where I'm at in 2024 in the beginning. Now, the reason I'm going to do that is because if, for instance, you had an amount set aside to sell, say you wanted, even if it's just like you scrape the interest, you're about to sell it in these conditions, it doesn't make sense. To me, it doesn't make sense unless you need the money, which is fine, whatever. But the beautiful thing is then you can, if you wanted to, you could delay it by, say, a year. Put it all aside, what you're going to sell, put it into a stake, and then sell that maybe in a year's time. By then, maybe the price is better. Maybe it's lower, who knows. But if you then apply that tactic to your existing staking ladder, it's then essentially a way to dollar cost out, but dollar cost out staking reverse negative ladder, I guess you could call it. I've come up with it here first. So what that means is, if you're analyzing the system and you have like a set time, so a stake is ending, you understand that that person's either going to sell it or restake it or do whatever. When you're end staking, maybe you're restaking, like you're trying to obtain your T-share amount, your initial investment, you might have to push it out further, so it becomes more complex to calculate that figure. But then obviously if you wanted to sell something now, if you can then delay that gratification, you can delay that gratification on top of your initial investing gratification on top of that. It's a way to push everything out. So I thought, well, I want to try that play. It might work good for me, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. And then basically, as other stakes end, if they end, I'll be doing the same thing, pushing them out further. Obtaining the T-shares, this is without purchasing injecting any new capital, deploying any new capital, that is. Then you have an amount you wish to sell now, delay the gratification on top of that, push that out. Might be beneficial in these market conditions. I'm not sure. But yeah, basically what I'm thinking there is basically the price might be higher later on, basically because maybe more people are staking later on. Maybe they understand how the system works. Maybe they understand staking. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It's a huge change in tactic for me. Yeah. So I don't think everyone can do this tactic either, because maybe a lot of people want to, you know, they want to sell. They like selling hex maybe because they enjoy doing it. Maybe they have to. Maybe their financial position is like that. Who knows? But yeah, that's what I want to be doing, and we'll see how that plays out. On that note, I will close out. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, that is about it. Live to fight another day. Peace out.